What's up, DIY fam? You're watching Rent This Flip That, and we are back out at our AC01 remodel. And yes, I'm up here. Well, I'm not actually on the roof. I'm actually standing on this really sketchy scaffold over here that I built with 2 ladders and a 4x6. And that's the way I roll, so we're not changing that out. Why? I'm sure it'll work. Anyway, we got issues up here, and I'm gonna take you through and show you what those are. Let's go. Take a look at this. Now, from the ground, I saw this buckling of this plywood up here, and it was sticking. I was like, look, it's humped up. What is that? And the crew was like, that's nothing. I was like, that's something. And so what happened is this part of it rotted out and then let go of the subfascia here, which made it drag down. So it pulled it down right there. But this has stayed with the plywood that's not rotten yet. So that's why it stays straight. So the other day I came up here, and I probably should have videoed me doing all this. I just wasn't sure how far I was going to go with it, but you can see I cut right there, and it's 1 by and 1 by. So I'm going to go ahead and finish cutting that off, and I'm going to block this all the way. And then I bought some 2x6s to replace it with. So now the question is this, guys. Do I try to rig up some kind of way to get this done where I can go right through these shingles and attach my plywood to the new rake out here, the new fascia? Do I pull these shingles up? If I do, am I gonna open another can of worms and see a whole bunch of rotten roof up underneath there? I'm not trying to replace this roof, but I do want to get this fixed, and I do want to do it right. So if I'm going to repair the plywood underneath, I think I'm going to try to remove these shingles with this new shingle tool that I bought off of Amazon. So I'm gonna go grab some tools and try to come up with some harebrained scheme to get this thing fixed. And if you guys want to watch, you're more than welcome to hang out and stay. All right, guys, here we go. All right, you guys, so we're back up on the roof. I got my tools, and I grabbed the little tool thing that I was telling you guys I got from Amazon. And I also got my hammers. So if you guys will take a look up underneath here, I think what I'm gonna try to start with is, you can see all these nails down here. Those are all the shingle nails. Now I could probably take my tool and try to dig down in here and try to, you know, get those things pulled. Some of them are up, and some of them are the plywood's so rotten they just pull right out. But if I feel like if I just take my hammer and just pop them points just a little bit, not enough to go through the shingles, but you know, just enough to lift the head a little bit, it might be a little bit easier. There's going to be a lot of them, and it's been painted, so it's probably lead paint too. Probably gonna get cancer while I'm up here. Jeez. All right, anyway, that's what's going on. Let's get started. Like I'm the only one. All right, so let's take a look at this roof tool right here. And you can see that it's pointed real sharp down there to get up underneath the flat head of the roofing nails. But also on this side, it has a little slot for you to be able to put your nail in there. And then you can either hit it here if you can access it, or you can just pound it down from up here, which is out from underneath the shingle. That way you can drive the nail down still. All right, guys, let's see how this thing works. All right, guys, we got our first shingle loose. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it's progress, right? All right. All right, you guys, it looks like I got all the shingles off of the roof that I want to take off. Now, there may be a situation where I may have to go a little bit further over there. I don't know. But we're going to go ahead and take this felt paper off and see what's underneath, and we should be able to get a better idea of what's going on. But I can tell you right now, this whole piece of plywood is done. It needs to be replaced. And then right over here, you can see when I push down, It's flexing, but I feel like I see a rafter right there. So I feel like all that is it just needs to have a scab put on the side of it. And I think they just, I don't know, just laid the plywood over there next to the rafter. But anyway, we'll get that fixed and take a look and see what else needs to happen. All right, guys, let's uncover this thing and see what's under here. All right, so I took a look over here and I can see that the seam is right here. I couldn't really tell where the seam was down there because all the plywood was split. So I do see a seam right. If you follow into my tape, you'll see that there's a seam right there. So I thought that was weird because in my lifetime of framing, I have never seen a 6-foot piece of plywood, right? So that told me that this right here was the seam, 4 foot ends right there, and I can see it. So down there was literally just like a 20-inch rip that they stuck in. And you can also, if you follow the end of my tape, you can see right here, they splice it. It's literally like just a 2-foot piece right here. So what I think I'm gonna have to do is I don't wanna get into this piece up here. But from here, all the way down to there, where that plywood is good, is only 6 foot. So I figure if I took a 4-foot piece by 6 foot and slapped it down right here where this is, that should take care of the problem. Now once I pull the felt paper back, like we talked about over there, I may have to go ahead and put a scab on the side of that rafter, but we'll see when we get to that. Let's go ahead and peel this felt paper back. It doesn't look too bad. Yeah, that felt paper will have to be replaced. All right, you guys, so I'm up here on this right here. I got my little level right here. We checked the roof the other day, and I believe that we came up with a 3 pitch. I'm not exactly sure, I don't really remember. So I'm gonna check it again. That way I give you an opportunity to see how you would check for the pitch of a roof if you didn't exactly know. Now I have this 1x sitting here. If it was underneath some shingles and stuff like that, it might be hard to do, but I got free range to do whatever. So I'm just gonna use my level to make a plumb line somewhere on here. Right there. All right. Now I just want to put my pivot point down here at the bottom of my line and then swivel it over to my line. And that is telling me we are exactly on a 4 pitch. 4 pitch. All right, so good. I can finish cutting this, and then we'll cut our 2x6, notch it, stick it up here, and get that plywood cut off and try to get it replaced today. All right, here we go. All right, you can always take some more off, but you can't ever add it back. So I'm gonna start off with 92.5. All right guys, take a look at what I've done here. You can see I've notched this. You're probably asking why. And you can see that it is the thickness of plywood. And that's just because there are 2 pieces of fascia. There is the 1x that is made out of this stuff right here. There is what they put on the outside. Now this stuff was under the plywood. This stuff they brought flush up to the plywood. Not exactly sure why, but for me to replace it with 2x6, I had to actually notch my 2x6. I went ahead and drew my angle on it down there before I cut it. That way I didn't have any risk of messing it up at all. So now I can go ahead and cut that 4 pitch, put me some blocks up there, and then hang this subfascia gable end rafter. All right, you guys, that's the plan. Let's go.
Shake. I don't like that.
I don't either. So my bad. This is not stud pack. We don't get a high dollar scaffold.
Start to stick it out. Oh yeah, in a heartbeat.
All right, you guys, so as you can see, I got a couple blocks installed in here. Now, I didn't go crazy, just enough. And I also put some flat, tucked it in behind where they had put their ledger over here. That way I get a little bit more support out on the plywood, like I mentioned earlier. So now that I got those up, it is time to put this rafter in and see if we can't get it installed today and maybe get some of this plywood put in. I got like an hour and a half left. Here we go. See that close up? Woo! Another victory.
Come up good. Yeah, right before it. It's fine. I wanted to, Daddy. I get that.
All right. Replaced. All right, team, so we have the Gable in. This is called a swing rafter, in case some of you don't know. And if you was to build this right here, blocks in the middle with this out here, we would call that a rake. And right now it is the sub fascia Gable in swing rafter, and it has been replaced. Now we got to get up here, mark out this plywood, cut it, and see if we can't get the new plywood installed before we get out of here. Let's go.
Yeah, I don't know if I can be up.
You gotta be up, man.
Where is the roof seat?
What?
The roof seat we got.
What does that mean?
Where you nail it in the roof and you sit on the shelf?
No, that's just stand up. This is a 4-pitch. It's like walking on the ground that's a little bit elevated. Like walking up a hill. Like when you went to Kennedy's ETSU campus.
But I'm like, I don't know, 12 foot old.
There were sidewalks that were steeper than this. You can't be like that. It's cracking me up, man. All right, you guys, it looks like that's going to do it for the roof repair. Now, we still have to go down and finish repairing the subfascia that I took off, which was the whole reason for this repair to begin with. But at least we got this done before the rain set in. With that being said, looks like we're going to have to come back tomorrow and wrap up that bottom over there so we can get out of here before it gets wet. I won't end the video right now. I'll come back in the morning, get that knocked out, check in with you guys, and then we'll wrap up at that point. Until then, I'll see you guys in the morning. Holler! Good morning, you guys. It's the next day. All right, so we have our swing rafter up, and now all we have to do is install the bird box. I make these kind of videos for people who are not necessarily experienced in construction, because you guys know what you're doing, but this is more for the people who are just getting into DIY, and it's just basic construction knowledge. So I wanted to explain to you today about a frame and square versus a speed square. Now, if you're new to starting to lay out rafters and all you've ever used is a speed square, because that's what the guys on the job are doing, and you've heard them say words like 8 on 12 or 6 on 12 or whatever, 12 on 12, you're like, what in the world does that even mean? Well, that just tells you what the pitch is on the roof. Now, you can cut rafters with this, or you can cut rafters with this. But if you've ever heard somebody say, hey, I need you to cut me a long 8, or I need you to cut me an 8 on the backside, or cut me the backside of an 8, what in the world does that mean? Today, I'm going to explain. Here we go. Okay guys, let's start with the speed square. So if I'm cutting a common rafter, I'm going to want to use, when I swing this over, I'm going to want to use this 4 right here. Does that make sense? You have 1, 2, 3, 4. That will put me on a 4 pitch. Now, over on this side, you'll see where it says pivot. That's your pivot point. That's the starting point for your line. So if I pull this way, and I go to a 4 common, I've got the edge of this 2x6 lined right up with that 4 mark right there. Now I'm going to mark that. Now if I needed this for a tail, this would be perfect for a rafter tail. The subfascia would come down right here, and it would go all the way across all these rafters. Does that make sense? That's a common 4 right there. Now if we need to cut one on a long 4 or the back side of a 4, this is how you would do that. Now I'm going to turn it around this way. Yeah, I'm going to turn it around this way so you guys can see. So for that, what I want to do is, this is the only way we could do it in the field if we were only using a speed square. We used to have a dude that sat down on some sawhorses and he used one of these, and I was like, what even is that? What's that for? All right, so anyway, what you want to do is come over to where your 4 pitch is, which is right here. Now I like to make a crow's foot in between there, like that, so I know where the middle of that line needs to go. I have my pivot point right here started. Now I want to pivot this over to right in the middle of that. I'm going to start my line right there. Now in the field with a speed square like that, that's all you get. You know what I'm saying? So it's up to you to kind of use this as a straight edge to finish it out. And it'll take you probably a couple steps unless you're good at it. I would not do that. I would do like just a little bit at a time, because you want it to be accurate, you know what I'm saying? That is a long side of a 4 or the back side of a 4. And let me show you what the difference is between the two. Now if you take a look up at the subfascia up there, you can see the gable end rafter that comes down and ties into the subfascia right there. That is cut on a common 4. However, I need to make a bird box that comes down where you can see that green 2x4 up there. And it needs to go square across the bottom, and it needs to be a long 4 that joins into that. If you try to cut a common rafter and put it up there, you're going to find out quickly that's not going to work. So you need the back side of a 4 for that bird box down there. All right, let's go cut it. All right, so we're back at the table, and you're like, Z, I got your common 4, I got your long or back side of the 4, but where does this come into play? Well, you can see I have these things. These are called stair nuts, or for in this case, rafter nuts. I just put them on my framing square. Now, I did not put them on 12, and I did not put it on 4. So 12 inches I got lined up right here is where the 12 inches is, and right here is where the 4 inches is. I didn't put my nuts on there because I wanted to make sure when I slid it into play, it was where it needed to be. So let's take a look at this side. This is a common 4. So if I slide it up and go over to my line, you can see, man, we are perfect on that line right there. And my 4 is right on the edge of this part of the 2x6, and my 12 is right on the edge of the 2x6 right here. So you'll just have to place your framing square on there and slide the nuts over until you can just take this thing and slide it in, and it doesn't move. So what is the back side? Obviously over here. This is the back side of a common 4. So if we slide this over and take a look, you can see that our long 4 came into play right there, all the way down that line right there. You see that? So that's how you would cut a long 4 in the field if you were using this. It's not as accurate as this, is because this is one long straight. So you'll just have to have a really good steady eye up there. And if you don't make this thing right, you'll find out when you get up there to do your bird box, I'm gonna have to adjust this. And then you gotta come back down and recut it.
All right, you guys, we are back up on the scaffold. I got my piece cut right here, and let's slide that in and see what that looks like. Woo! Look at that. Oh my goodness. I love it. I love it. Absolutely. Now you can see it got a little bit of a reveal right here, and then that's not because of the piece that I cut. That actually is because that 2x6 came from Lowe's. Believe it or not, that was the straightest one I picked out of the 4 that I picked through 30, 40. Anyway, so here it is. That's what it is. It's level, and now I'm going to have to install this. Hey guys, I just want to make this public announcement. Being a YouTuber is not all it's cracked up to be, and it's not all fun and games. For example, you have no idea how long it took to set up this sketchy scaffold right here that we have, that my tripod is sitting on, just so you guys could come up to the roof with me. And just when you think you're ready to record, your battery. I'm going to use 8s on this so I don't split it. That's real nice and flush there. Oh man. Let's take a look at that. Well, there you have it, guys. One swing rafter repaired. Now, I'm not saying that's the way you do it. That's just the way I did it. And every situation is a little bit different. You may not have a bunch of rot in the plywood up on the roof, so you don't have to go to the extent that I went. Mine was a big giant repair. I actually watched a video where a guy only had to repair the outside subfascia piece and his plywood was still good. The whole reason I watched that is because I thought that was going to be a quick, easy fix for me and I would do something similar. So I wanted to know, how are you going to attach the plywood to the rafter if there's shingles on the roof? And that guy used PL3X. I guess that'll probably work. That stuff is pretty strong and I love it. I use it on all my transitions and floors. But anyway, that wasn't my case, so I had to go a different route. So if you guys have a repair like that, hopefully you learned something from today's video. And if you liked the video, help me out by going down and smacking the like button. If you guys want to see future videos on the AC01 remodel, make sure you join the DIY family and head on down to the subscription section of the page and hit that subscribe button, and also make sure to turn on notifications. That way you know when the video is coming out. Alright guys, I think that is going to wrap it up for this one. I had a lot of fun and I hope you guys learned something. Until next time, take care and stay safe. Peace!